Well-known author Alice Walker once said, "People who work hard often work too hard. May we learn to honor the hammock, the siesta, the nap, and the pause in all its forms." Join us as we prepare to celebrate National Hammock Day. I'm your host, Missy Rentz, and this is the Parks Podcast. In today's episode, I am joined by Anna Rawlins, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Eno. Anna, welcome to the Parks Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Missy. I'm stoked to be here.
Okay, so we're about to celebrate one of our favorite holidays, National Hammock Day here in the United States. And so it makes this conversation even more special for me because I know you also love this holiday.
It's our favorite one, July 22nd. It's
Yes,
marked on our calendars a year in advance.
circled and all of that. I want to just start going when we're talking to parks, we go through park stats, but I've done a little homework on hammock stats. So I just want to go through this. Some debate on this, on where hammocking began. The thoughts are South Africa, Athens, Greece. We know that hammocks or hammock like objects were in etchings and paintings throughout history. So we know it started a very long time ago. Hammocks have been used on Apollo 12 for better sleeping, and the military use them when they have tight sleeping quarters, at least historically have used them. It's a $1.45 billion industry. That's how many were sold in 2024. And a Swiss study several years ago found that napping in a hammock can lead to better sleep versus stationary sleeping. The tallest hammock is located in Utah's Moab Desert. It's nearly 500 feet in the air. It's so intimidating to me and my fear of heights, but it really does look pretty beautiful. I love hammocking. I do it all the time. So it was interesting to see these stats about the thing we love.
I love that you put these together, especially the Swiss study about napping in a hammock leads to better sleep. I have to say, I find that I sleep better in one myself.
First, I want to start off a little bit about Eno. Eno is a hammock. Well, you do a lot of things, but I first was introduced to you many years ago for your hammocks. And I feel like Eno was like, you all brought hammocks back and made them cool again.
Very different design.
Yes, yes. So you started in 1999. How was the company created?
Yeah. So, was founded in 1999. The Pinholster brothers selling hammocks out of a van at music festivals and gatherings along the way. They started in the state of Florida, then expanded to the East Coast and the US, and now even across the globe. So the hammock, it's actually our classic double nest, was the first product. And then our Atlas hammock strap. It was a slightly different version back in the day, but it was the first knotless hammock suspension system, which really opened it up to a much wider range of people. You didn't have to know how to tie any special knots or untie them if you're like me. So it really made it easier and more accessible for a lot of people to use. And hammocks, the whole original idea with this lifestyle focused on traveling, much like yours,
Yes.
was rooted a lot in freedom to explore the world, connect with people, and to relax between those adventures by giving you that dedicated space. So, by making these hammocks portable and expanding to a much wider group of people, we really see ourselves somewhat as like the pioneer of the hammock counterculture that happened in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great way to say it, a pioneer, because you see them everywhere. I will take the dog for a walk on college campuses and there's stands, and it's my go-to graduation gift is a hammock because it's so easy to store in a dorm room or on people's backyards and vacations. There's multiple people that say a hammock's always in their car with them when we talk about it. But it's also like this word hammocking. What does it mean?
Hammocking, the word, I mean, it's kind of a lifestyle. It's also a product. It's also a general vibe, I feel like. Using your hammock however you like to in a safe way. So you can hang hammocks between trees or secure attachment points. You can put it on a stand. You can convert them to a chair. So you can use them in almost any capacity, in your backyard, on campus, in a park, at a music festival, when you go camping, in the middle of nowhere, or in the middle of urban spaces. That's one of the appeals to our hammocks that are more portable, is just that you can use them in such a wide range of activities and find a place to relax. It gives you a spot to, take a moment for yourself. You can connect and talk and hang out with friends. You can journal, you can listen to music, you can meditate, you can take a nap, or you can also rock out to music, depending
Yeah.
on where you are and what you want to do.
And you talked a little bit about doing it safely, and I think there's different avenues I wanna take with this. Because first there's the safety of how you're hanging it, and I've been to several parks where they were just not allowed at all. And I think you guys have addressed this in some of your marketing, but there is a way to safely protect our environment while hammocking.
There is. And we always recommend to use the principles of leave no trace anytime that you're enjoying your time outside, and to also especially do that when hammocking. To use your hammock safely, a lot of it comes down to finding the right location to hammock. So making sure that you are attached, one, that it's allowed in that park. A lot of super fragile ecosystems just will not allow hammocking because there could be damage to them. So a lot of those places, I believe Joshua Tree National Park is one, which makes total sense, you
Yeah.
know. So one, make sure that it's allowed where you are going. Two is make sure that it's a secure whatever you're attaching it to. Typically, if that's trees, you'd want them to be over 6 inches in diameter, mature, healthy, substantial trees with no dead limbs above you and nothing sharp below you. If you're using a different attachment point, like eye bolts in 4x4s, you'd want to make sure that it's structurally able to hold your hammock when in motion with your weight. There's a lot of kind of physics that go into hammocking. So if you're not sure about if something can hold you, check with a professional. Just be safe with it. We'd always recommend to not hang them any higher than 18 inches off the ground.
That
Never,
surprised me. I do it wrong, and I need to fix that.
never hang your hammock higher than you're willing to fall. It's pretty
That's a
straightforward.
really good Where's the T-shirt that says that, Anna?
So when you mentioned the 500-foot hammock in the air, that was stressing me out a little bit. But a lot of people will use harnesses, professional climbers, but for general use population, be safe with it. Don't hang it high. Do not stack hammocks. Again, they can break. So you don't want to be falling on anyone or from a tall height. And be sure to take it down when you're not in use. And that's a mix of just being conscious of the environment and not invading the space when you're not using it, but it'll also extend the lifespan of your hammock.
And the way hammocks, particularly your hammocks, are made, care is pretty easy for them too.
It
Yes?
is. So much of it is store it in a cool, dry, dark place out of direct sunlight. Most of our hammocks, depending on the style, you can wash them just by removing the carabiners because they do tend to get dirty when you're camping. I say every stain is a memory.
Yeah, mine's starting to fade a little and bleed a little and has maybe some s'more stuff on it and a spot or 2.
Oh, yeah. And so every time you use it, just inspect it, check and see if there's any pinholes, if there's any discoloration, if the fabric feels like a different texture. And if you do feel any of that, we would recommend to discontinue use. Reach out to us. We can always see if it's something that we can fix, or it might be time for a new hammock.
That's really good to know. Okay, I feel like it has become, like, just sort of a standard in outdoor recreation. What do you think the appeal is of hammocking?
They're easy to use and really comfortable. Hammocks can really turn any place into a spot of rest and relaxation, which is much needed these days by most people. You're off the ground, you're supported, you can sway with the breeze, you're immersed in nature, you feel like you're a part of it. They really invite you to slow down, which is something we don't tend to do often in our everyday life. Hammocks are also extremely versatile. You can use the same hammock in a bunch of different settings and ways, from the beach to the backwoods. You could use it in everyday lounging or as your main sleep system when you're camping or ultralight backpacking with just a few extra accessories.
Yeah. And Hammock Day, you mentioned it's July 22nd, so it'll be shortly after this airs. This is its 10th anniversary. And you guys usually do a lot to celebrate, lots of contests, lots of promotions. You really do encourage people to plan hammock time.
We do. And that's like, this is a holiday. You don't really have to buy a gift for someone. You don't have to travel to see anyone. We just want you to hammock. Just hang out
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
We joke around here and we call it Eno Day because it's our main holiday. So we take it very seriously in the office. And so be sure to check out our social media because you'll see how some of our employees how seriously they take it this
Yes.
year.
Yes, and you guys have contests too where, even throughout the year, you highlight how hammocks are used. It has given me several ideas of how to take pictures with a hammock involved. So you certainly
Yeah.
celebrate year round. And I think for everybody listening, it's a fun holiday just to get into something. And for me, it reconnects me with my youth because it feels like I'm playing. And there aren't many times in life where I feel like I'm playing. And I think there's something really special about a hammock. And the look on people's faces whenever they see a hammock, it's just childlike. It's so much fun.
I think one of my favorite parts about it too is I think that feeling is somewhat universal. So I'll be working an event and have hammocks strung up, and people just run over to take a seat and test them out, which is fantastic. And then it creates this air of just like community and collaboration and nice, fun, easy hangout that I've met some of my closest friends from just inviting them to sit in a hammock.
Oh, I love that. I've benefited from that at some events with you. Okay, so let's talk about how and where people hammock. Let's go in a little bit more detail. I have like 4 categories. If you think we can add more, feel free. But let's talk a little bit about camping and how you can use a hammock camping.
Yeah. So there's a few different ways to use hammocks when camping. You can use it more recreationally, just around camp is a seat that's off the ground. So you could still have your traditional tent, your sleep system inside that tent, and use the hammock as a place to hang out or for kids to spend time and give you a little bit of a break. Always supervised though, always supervised in the hammock. You can also use your hammock as your main like camping sleep system. And there's a bunch of different versions of hammocks depending on your intention. We have our more classic gathered end parachute hammocks, which really work across the board for a variety of activities. And with these, it's a very like modular setup. So you have your hammocks, your hammock straps. We also have bug nets, rain tarps. So then you can kind of build this elevated tent off of the ground, which is your hammock. This works really well in areas where the ground is not level, where it's uneven. There's a lot of lumps or rocks or sticks that tend to stick in your back. My favorite part about it is with this modular setup, if it's not buggy, or even just if it's supposed to be a clear night, you fall asleep looking at the stars and you wake up to the sunrise with like no barrier between you and the outdoors. It's beautiful. I'd much prefer that than waking up sweating in a tent with all the bugs swarming underneath the rain fly and the bug net, and it's heated up to 100 degrees already, and it's only 7 a.m. So that's one way to do it. We also have more camping oriented hammocks that have integrated bug nets and a bit lighter weight suspension systems like our Helios ultralight hammock straps. And that's a bit more technical to where it has pockets inside of the hammock, that bug net that you can use or not use. There's ultralight hammocks if you're really an ounce counter and care a lot about the weight and size in your pack. Those are also really convenient for travel just because they pack tiny. So I usually keep one in my carry on just in case.
Oh, that's a great idea.
When camping. When sleeping in your hammock, you tend to get a cold butt if it's
Yeah.
anywhere like 60 degrees and below. And so there's a product called an underquilt. And that essentially hangs below your hammock and it keeps you warm by maintaining loft. If you're in your sleeping bag inside the hammock, your body weight is compressing the loft of a sleeping bag. So it's really not going to retain much heat. And the back portion of your body is going to get cold. So an underquilt is typically best to use when hammocking. And then you can either use a top quilt to keep the top of your body warm or even a typical sleeping bag.
I'm so intrigued by it. I've only seen it done one time in Maine, and I have, every so often you guys will post some pictures of it, and I'm intrigued, but feel like I have to do so much research and understanding before I try it because I would want to do it properly. And I think of things like my butt's going to be cold, but I think it feels like a fun way to sleep outdoors.
It is so enjoyable. And I laugh because when I go camping with friends who set up tents, I'm typically set up first. If it's nasty out and raining, I can still hang out with people in my hammock instead of just sitting like closed off in the tent. And then it's just something that you can use all over camp instead of only sleeping in overnight. The functionality of hammocks, I find at camp, as long as there are trees or you're bringing a stand with you, works really well.
Oh, I might have to try this. You may have convinced me.
Go to camping. Yeah.
Okay. Watch out, North Carolina. Okay, let's talk about in a home.
Yes. So
How
very different use case. And so in the home, you could still use that same, gathered in parachute hammock, like our classic double nest, with different hanging kits indoors or outside, as well as with hammock stands. You could also use it with straps in the backyard. But to a large extent, hammocks are nice at home, just as a creative option for seating inside kid rooms, as like a reading nook, or just a dedicated relaxation spot. We have some larger backyard hammocks that are quite large. In addition, with stands, the Super Nest is actually one that I have at home because I know someone.
right?
But I read my Kindle on it every single evening after work and snuggle my 100-pound dog on essentially like a queen size hammock.
My gosh,
It's
crazy. I love it.
fantastic.
Yeah. And I think like I had mine at one of my houses. I had it as like my back porch furniture. I just
Yeah.
put the bolts in the wall and did it. The other thing I've heard it being used for a lot is nap kids sleeping and nap time.
Oh, yeah. And really, all ages of kids. There's a lot of young parents here that work at and they say the only way that they can get their infant or toddler asleep is for them to like lay in a hammock with their child.
Yeah. I mean, you get it like rocking an infant to sleep, but then that study that talked about just that gentle sway, if you can get over the playing part. And then I think the last one is in parks, which is different than camping, but in parks, they're great.
Oh, yeah. And again, it's kind of that everyday use. You can take it to a picnic with friends using straps or some portable stands in a variety of different parks, whether it's a national park, a local greenway, or even just a playground.
Yeah. And I mentioned these colleges had like this setup where there were like 3 you could hook 3 hammocks to it, and I think it's such a great way to integrate it into what we're doing.
I think anytime that we can set an intentional space for people to kind of connect and slow down, it's going to be beneficial.
Yeah. And I think that connection point is really key. You can go out with your friends and put the phone down and just sway and chit chat and all of that. I think that's a really beautiful thing.
And I think that comes back to the whole idea of what is hammocking. And it's really using and enjoying your hammock in a way that brings you joy. And for so many people, that is going out with friends, setting up their hammocks and hanging out, or even studying together, which is so nice that it's not some big place that you have to go to. You don't have to pay to gain entry into a specific area. It's not a restaurant where you're paying money to go to that. It's kind of this product that can unlock all of these different experiences no matter where you go.
You've talked a little bit about the safety of it. Is there something people should look for when they're buying their gear to know that they've got the safe way to hang it on a tree?
I would say hammock straps are really the best way to go when it comes to hanging your hammock if you are going to be hanging it on trees. Hammock straps, for the most part, are widely tested. So just make sure you're getting it from a reputable brand. You can check the capacity and weight rating of those and then read the direction to make sure that you're setting it up correctly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That
I mean,
might be the best.
clearly I didn't do that since I'm like hanging mine like 4 feet off the ground. What's your favorite way to use a hammock?
Ooh. The most frequent way that I use them is definitely in my backyard, just that everyday use and that intentional space to relax. When I was on vacation last week, we strung one up under the pier at the beach. And it's perfect because it's 95 degrees, really hot and humid. You're in the shade. You have a spot to relax. You're not getting sandy. You can feel the breeze. It's fantastic. So really, I like those everyday opportunities to use that hammock and relax.
So, Anna, I know we're talking a lot about hammocking and the fun of hammocking, but I do also want to bring up that is an Asheville brand, Asheville, North Carolina. A year ago, you all got hit really hard with the hurricanes, and you were a big supporter in the recovery as an organization, but you were also living in it. It was home. And so I just want to touch base and see how's Asheville, how's the region, how's the recovery going?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking about that, Missy. September 27th will be a day that we will never forget. But it's been I think 8 or 9 months now, and recovery every day is a step in the right direction. The town itself has changed, but being able to see people come together and the outdoor industry in particular as well has just been nothing short of amazing. Supporting cleanup efforts during the thick of it, even rescue operations with our whitewater community. It was really impactful to see how this area is uniquely situated to respond to a situation like that. And I don't think really that any community can fully respond or comprehend the massiveness of that hurricane. Once in over 1,000-year flood that we never thought we would experience, Asheville was considered a climate haven. So really just no one expected this. But it is beautiful to see the community come together where we are today from where we were 9 months ago. And we're excited to see where we'll be 9 more months from now. But a big way that anyone can help us is come visit us, book excursions with local experiential providers, shop locally, go out to eat, spend all your money in Asheville. And you are supporting locals and our recovery by doing that. It'll be a while till things are looking somewhat normal.
And one thing you have introduced me to is just how big of an outdoor industry that area is. So anything that you want to do could be done in that region. And I encourage people to put it on the top of their list for their next outdoor vacation spot.
Heck yeah. We'll see you out here.
Absolutely. So, how will you celebrate National Hammock Day?
First is just by getting more people outside hammocking from all of our social content and all of our friends. And then I think we'll probably take the dog for a hike in a local park and string up some hammocks and bring some snacks.
I love it. I encourage people to go to your Instagram page and see what's up leading into National Hammock Day and also during National Hammock Day. You guys usually have some really fun contests and opportunities for people. So definitely check out their Instagram and website.
Every year on July 22nd, check our website. And if you
Exactly.
want a reminder, subscribe to our email list.
Right, right. Yes, you'll get it. You'll get it. And at every episode, we end with a speed round of questions. So I'll fire through these and just answer with what first comes to mind.
Awesome. No pressure.
Yeah, right. Exactly. What's your earliest park memory?
It was running around barefoot, climbing trees, and covered head to toe in mud, being chased by geese in a local park where I grew up called Echo Lake.
Oh my gosh. Is that Richmond?
Well, Glen Allen, Richmond
Glen
area.
Allen. I was going to say, wait a second. I know Echo Lake. That's funny.
And there's still geese there.
There are. Tootsie likes to bark at them. What made you love the parks?
I've always felt free in parks. Again, just that running around, climbing on things, getting dirty. Like that freedom has always been allowed in parks that you can't do that in many other public spaces.
What's your favorite thing about parks?
Having a dedicated space for slowing down, escaping that everyday life, immersing myself in nature.
What's your favorite thing to do when you're in a park?
Now, this is a bit different. Lately, I've gotten really into mountain biking. There's so many wonderful trails in the national parks and parks around Asheville that right now I'll get together with some girlfriends, ride bikes, swim in the lakes, and relax in a hammock. It's like the perfect day.
What park have you yet to visit, but it's on your bucket list and why?
Yosemite! I'm dying to visit Yosemite. It's iconic. I think it's so different visually than a lot of the other parks that I'm used to on the East Coast. So we're like very green, lush, rounded mountaintops that aren't very high. So I'd love to experience its epicness and grandness.
What are 3 must-haves you pack for a park visit?
First one is pretty obvious, a hammock and strap. Second would be water and snacks. And then third would be a good book or my bike, depending on the day.
And what's your favorite campfire activity?
S'mores. But we do a weird version of them where our graham crackers would always get crushed. So you take M&M peanuts, and you smush it in a very large marshmallow and you roast that. So the chocolate melts inside the candy, and then the peanut in the center gives you that crunch like the graham cracker.
Okay, this next one I'm gonna edit. I have to add a category to it. Tent camper, or cabin, or hammock?
Hammock, always. Just the nice quick setup, if it's nice weather, how you can fall asleep under the stars, and it's so much more open. You can sleep in as well without getting super sweaty.
And are you hiking with or without trekking poles?
Without unless it's super steep or there's a lot of water crossing.
What is your favorite trail snack?
Washers.
What's your favorite animal sighting?
I was foraging for mushrooms and stumbled upon a mama black bear that was eating berries. It was from a safe distance, but still a bit shocking. But it was just so beautiful to see her and her babies in nature.
What is your favorite sound in the park?
A storm rolling in, the sound of like wind coming through the trees, or it starts with wind coming through the trees. Then it gets a little bit louder, a little bit more constant. Then you can hear the rain when it's at a distance, like right before it hits you, and you're like, oh, it really is going to storm. And then you get soaked. But it just feels magical and almost primal how that you can tell as soon as that wind picks up that a storm is coming.
And then what's the greatest gift that the parks give to us?
I think the greatest gift that they give to us is perspective. They remind us that we're a part of something much bigger, which is just very awe inspiring. They give us a place to reconnect with nature and ourselves.
I love it. Anna, thank you for taking time to talk to us about hammocking, how to hammock, and getting us ready to celebrate National Hammock Day.
Thank you, Missy. I hope to see you out in a hammock on National Hammock Day.
You will see me there. Excellent. Thanks for listening today. Until next time, we'll see you in the parks. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to like and share on your favorite podcast platform. Music for the Parks podcast is performed and produced by Porter Hardy. For more information, please follow us on Instagram at The Parks Podcast or visit our website at theparkspodcast.com.